Today's topic is edema. The term edema originated from the Greek word oedema, meaning swelling. I am going to discuss this topic under these headings: definition, physiology, pathophysiology, causes, types of edema, method of examination, pitting edema scale, other physical signs, difficulties, confirmation, red flags and references. Definition of edema. Edema is excessive accumulation of extracellular fluid in the skin and subcutaneous tissue more than 2 to 3 liters than normal. This increase in extracellular fluid should be more than 2 to 3 liters to dictate edema clinically. Increase in body weight over a short period of time is a reliable measure of edema. Some physiological aspects: division of body fluid. Total body water is 60% of body weight. Of this body water, 2/3 is there in the intracellular space and 1/3 there in the extracellular space. The extracellular fluid, 3/4 is there in the interstitial space and 1/4 there in the blood as plasma. Now we shall talk about the pathophysiology of edema. Extracellular fluid depending upon 3 factors. First and most important factor is the movement across the capillary, which in turn depending upon 3 factors: hydrostatic pressure, oncotic pressure and capillary permeability. Again, the extracellular fluid is maintained constant by constant lymphatic flow, and again the extracellular fluid also will be determined by tissue pressure. A perturbation of these factors singly or in combination results in edema. Edema, as we already defined, there is increased extracellular volume, and that can occur in certain specific illnesses. We will come to it. And it is also known to occur when there is increased capillary leak, and the edema also can occur when there is decreased lymph flow, and again it may come when there is a change there in the interstitial pressure, or varying combination of these factors are known to produce edema. Illnesses known to produce an increase there in the extracellular fluid volume are congestive cardiac failure, renal failure, cirrhosis of liver and in pregnancy. Conditions known to produce an excessive leakage across the capillary are passive condition and active condition. A passive escape of fluid across the capillary bed is what is called transudation, and is known to occur when the back pressure on the venular end of the capillary is more, as in the case of congestive cardiac failure, cor pulmonale, pericardial effusion, portal hypertension. When there is a marked decrease in the oncotic pressure, like malabsorption, nephrotic syndrome, cirrhosis of pressure, cirrhosis of liver, that also known to produce edema formation. And when there is a decreased venous flow, as in the case of Budd-Chiari syndrome, DVT, varicosity, that is also known to produce edema. A active leakage of a fluid across the capillary membrane is known to occur in inflammation, and this is what is called exudation. It can occur locally, as in the case of allergy, and producing what is called hives or urticaria or angioneurotic edema. In cellulitis, it is also known to occur locally, But when it is occurring there in the pleura, it is what is called the exudate type of pleural effusion or pericardial effusion. When there is a systemic inflammatory reaction, a systemic inflammatory syndrome and capillary leak syndrome, there will be generalized capillary leakage resulting in generalized edema. Condition producing diminished lymph flow is known to produce edema, as in the case of lymphatic obstruction seen in filariasis, malignancy, radical surgery, radiation. And the lymphedema also may occur congenital absence or agenesis of the lymphatics as seen in Milroy's disease. Changes there in the interstitium is also known to produce edema as seen in the case of elephantiasis myxedema and pretibial myxedema of Graves' disease. Varying combination of the above mentioned condition as in recurrent cellulitis, necrotizing fasciitis, lymphedema with cellulitis, radical surgery and radiation are known to produce marked edema. And now let us see what are the different types of edema. Edema in the skin and subcutaneous tissue is due to lesser tissue pressure. Pedal edema is very common due to the action of gravity, and it is known as dependent edema. When the edema is mild, edema seen only towards the evening around the ankle, and it is known as ankle edema. In a bedridden patient, dependent edema is seen in the sacrum, and it is known as sacral edema. Another point in pedal edema is that you have to note that the extent of edema, like above the ankle, below the knee, above the knee, like that. When the edema is present everywhere, it is called generalized edema, and often due to systemic cause like congestive cardia, systemic cause like diseases of heart, lung, liver, kidney, gut, and endocrine organ. Now we shall see again other types of edema. In generalized edema, there can be edema in the scrotum and vulva, and when you are seeing that, invariably there will be edema there in the lower limb and also the lower part of the abdomen and thighs. Scrotal edema and vulval edema are known to occur because of the loose areolar tissue present in this area, and therefore there is easy to develop fluid accumulation at these sites. Periorbital edema is more in venous disease, especially in the morning, as tissue pressure again is minimum in this area. Bilateral symmetrical pedal edema is seen in generalized edema. Edema occurring only in one body part is called localized edema, and is due to local causes like inflammation, allergy, venous or lymphatic obstruction. Unilateral edema is common example of localized edema. Bilateral asymmetrical edema often indicate, in addition to a systemic cause, there is also a local condition in the limb where there is more edema. Once again, bilateral symmetrical edema means it's a cause is away from the limb. In localized edema, you have to search a cause in the limb. Type again, edema of the surface of the skin in allergy is known as hives, and in deeper layer of skin it is angioedema, but it will be associated with itching. Anasarca is a severe generalized edema with accumulation of fluid in the skin, subcutaneous tissue and cavities of the body. Abdominal or peritoneal cavity is known as ascites. Pleural cavity it is known as pleural effusion or hydrothorax. Edema, angioedema occurring as a genetic defect is the hereditary angioedema. Other commonly used term in edema: bilateral symmetrical pitting edema, bilateral bilateral asymmetrical pitting pedal edema, non-pitting edema, acute edema, inflammatory edema or tender edema, chronic edema, lymphedema, venous edema, idiopathic or cyclic edema, drug-induced edema, pregnancy-related edema. Idiopathic edema. Idiopathic edema is a pitting type of edema of unknown cause that occur primarily in premenopausal women who do not have evidence of heart, lung or kidney disease. In this condition, the fluid retention at first may be seen primarily premenstrually, just prior to the menses, hence known as cyclical edema also for this type of idiopathic edema. Now we shall discuss the method of examination. Inspect the leg for any swelling. Look at the skin between the median malleoli and Achilles tendon for the presence or absence of convexity. Flat or convex skin between these points means edema. Apply pressure 1 inch above the median malleolus using the pulp of the thumb for minimum 30 seconds on both lower limbs simultaneously. Inspect and palpate the area for any dimple or pitting. When there is edema, repeat the test in the rest of the limb from below up to note the extent of edema. Check for edema in the thighs, lower abdomen, genitalia and rest of the body. Bedridden patient, turn the patient to the side and uncover the sacral area. Apply pressure over the sacrum with the right thumb for 30 seconds and palpate and look for any dimple. Now, inspection, note the median malleoli. Veins are in the lower limb, veins are not seen, malleoli are not seen. Therefore, there is swelling, and this swelling is most likely due to edema. See here, the medial malleoli is seen clearly, Achilles tendon is seen clearly, and there is a concavity between the Achilles tendon and the medial malleoli. Therefore, in this leg there is no edema. After that, you have to press with the pulp of the thumb 1 inch above the medial malleoli simultaneously on both sides as shown there in this figure. And see, when you are going on pressing, watch what is the breadth of the ankle in the front. If usually the breadth of the ankle will be less when compared the distance from the front to the Achilles tendon, and if the front is more, it is a point in favor of arthritis of the ankle. At the same time, you have to see what the shape of the skin between the medial malleolus and the Achilles tendon, and if it is concave, there is no edema, but if it is a flat or convex, there is edema. By that time, half an hour minute will be over, and then without removing your thumb, you run your finger and see whether there is any dimple palpable. And when there is no palpable dimple, you have to take your finger and watch for any dimple. This is the way you have to look for edema. But when there is edema, you have to see what is the extent of edema by serially pressing from below up as shown there in this picture. This is the pitting pedal edema after applying the pulp of the thumb for minimum 30 seconds. Now this picture is showing multiple dimples, showing the extent of edema, and by using the pitting rate, you can grade by noting the level of pitting, you can grade the edema. 1 plus edema to 4 plus edema is there. 1 plus edema means you press your finger there for 30 seconds and taking out the finger, no dimple seen, dimple disappearing within 15 seconds means that is a 1 plus edema. Dimple indentation persisting, a slight indentation is remaining after 15 seconds means there is 2 plus edema. deep indentation seen only for 30 seconds, it's a 3 plus edema, and that indentation is present more than 30 seconds means 4 plus edema. This picture is showing a sacal edema, and now again the generalized edema. Bilateral symmetrical pitting pedal edema is due to generalized cause away from the limb, usually heart failure, cirrhosis of liver, nephrotic syndrome, malabsorption, and drug induced. This is the example of bilateral symmetrical generalized bilateral symmetrical pedal edema, and as mentioned before, to search a cause in the systems. In this patient, there is generalized edema, and this is due to the capillary leak. In capillary leak, you get generalized edema. Unilateral edema, the cause you have to set in that limb, including the regional lymph node and the lymphatic. Usual causes are infection and inflammation. Therefore, when you are pressing the area, it be tender, and is otherwise known as therefore tender edema. And when there is venous obstruction, as in the case of varicose vein, deep vein thrombosis, it is also known to produce unilateral lymphedema. And lymphatic obstruction, where you get a red line, especially the medial aspect of the lower limbs, and then you have to say acute lymphangitis, as in the case of filariasis and cellulitis. And regional lymph node will be palpable in the case of cellulitis, and if the lymph node is hard and fixed, you have to consider the possibility of malignancy also. This picture is showing unilateral edema, and the right limb there is edema. It is due to the cellulitis because that area is red. Bilateral asymmetrical edema, in addition to generalized cause, there can be a local cause where there is more edema. Rarely it can be due to bilateral local cause. Upper limb edema you get, but no lower limb edema is seen there in superior vena cava obstruction. It's an example of bilateral asymmetrical edema. It is bilateral asymmetrical. This limb definitely there is a inflammatory edema, but there in the right limb there is medium malleoli is not seen, and therefore there is edema there in the right lower limb, and therefore this is an example of bilateral asymmetrical edema more on the left side. This picture, dimples are there on both sides. It is more prominent on the right side, therefore it is bilateral asymmetrical pitting pedal edema. You have to consider a local cause in the right lower limb where it is more. In this picture you have to search in addition to the generalized cause, you have to search a local cause there in the in this limb, right lower limb. In the mild edema of the upper limb, you get obliteration of the spaces between the knuckle as on the right hand. In marked edema, you can see that extent of that edema there in the upper limb too. And see, this is the one known to occur. This right picture is occurred following mastectomy, and the left is see example of a biliary lymphedema affecting the upper limb. Puffiness of face is known to occur there in renal edema, superior vena cava obstruction, and cirrhosis of liver is known to produce ascites more than the pedal edema, or ascites appear first and pedal edema next. This is showing puffiness of face of renal edema. This picture is showing puffy face edema of the upper limb, puffy face edema of the right upper limb, and this is the superior vena cava obstruction, and you can see the central cyanosis, puffy face and fullness of the neck also. This picture is showing a puffy face and a puffy face, and this is a puffy face. This is the typical facial puffiness of hypothyroidism, and this is the facial appearance, asymmetrical swelling on the face, the typical appearance of angioedema. Here the swollen limbs are shiny and thin, and therefore you have to say that it is acute edema, and where you get shiny skin, loss of creases, no veins visible, and area may be tender on palpation. This is acute edema. But in the case of chronic edema, the skin will be thick, creases will be prominent, and there can be hyperpigmentation, as in the case of biliary edema. And now this is the right lower arm is swollen. This is an example of a lymphedema, and this is not lymphedema. You have to say that it is, of course it is lymphedema, but it is nothing but elephantiasis, because the skin is thick and just like the skin of the elephant. And this is again biliary lymphedema like, but in this limb it is due to the preapical myxedema, and the patient had Graves' disease, and the limb here is swollen as because malaria is not visible, but it is non-pitting pedal edema you get in filariasis, myxedema and systemic sclerosis. But mind you, in the early phase of filariasis lymphedema it will be pitting, and also myxedema, also hypothyroidism early phase will be pitting. In the later phase, say this condition, the edema will not be pitting. In this patient, the patient is orthopenic, and there is a pedal edema, bilateral symmetrical pedal edema. This is the appearance of edema of congestive cardiac failure. Here the patient face is puffy, sonal eyelid, but the lower limbs are also markedly edemated. This is the usual appearance you get in nephrotic syndrome. Here the edema is there in the both lower limbs, symmetrical edema, but there is marked ascites, and ascites, size of ascites is markedly more when compared to the size of edema, and therefore this is typical of edema of cirrhosis of liver. And see, when the patient is standing, you can see that swollen limb with the varicosity. This is the typical appearance of venous edema. And what are the difficulties we will come across when you are eliciting edema? When there is acute inflammation, you cannot press, and there is a carton bandage, difficult to assess edema. And when there is arthritis of ankle joint and other joint, difficult to say whether there is a pedal edema or edema below the knee. This is the carton bandage, difficult to assess the edema. And here the front of the ankle is broader, and therefore this is not edema, this is arthritis of ankle joint. Confirmation of edema is by doing daily weight recording, intake output chart, urine analysis. You have to look for profuse proteinuria and edema, that is a point in favor of nephrotic syndrome. Blood investigation like a serum albumin, blood urea, serum electrolytes, renal function test to see whether the patient is having chronic renal disease or acute renal disease, or like nephrotic syndrome and nephritic syndrome. Confirmation, again you have to do some other investigation in relevant situation like liver function test, thyroid function test, electrocardiogram, X-ray test. You have to do ultrasonography study and radiological study. In the case of lymphedema, Doppler study of the venous system may be useful. In the case of ascites and pelvic tumors, CT and MRI of abdomen are useful. Red flags: painful edema with signs of inflammation, it is cellulitis. Painful leg edema without much signs of inflammation, we have to consider DVT. Severe painful limb edema, artificial insufficiency. Upper limb edema in female, see a breast or following mastectomy. Both upper limb edema with ascites, both lower limb edema with ascites, Budd-Chiari syndrome. Lower limb edema with scrotal or vulval edema, and you have to consider marked edema, marked generalized edema. Edema with breathlessness, consider the possibility of congestive cardiac failure, core-pulmonary pericardial effusion, and ascites. Fever with generalized edema, capillary leak syndrome. Painful edema in one lower limb, consider the possibility of snake bite. Localized edema with itching, that's a point in favor of angioneuritic edema. Angioedema with voice change, consider the possibility of that impending laryngeal edema.